Good evening. What's going on? Welcome to First and Goal. I'm your host, Spencer Young from Titletown Sports Talk, and we talk about everything Patriots here. We're going to get ready for the next week's game against the Primetime game against the Buffalo Bills, recap what happened last week against the Carolina Panthers, talk a little bit about, maybe some practice squad and injury report, who's coming back, who's out. Go through the games of the week, pick them straight up and against the spread. Try and put some money in your pocket. And as always, if you guys have anything that you want to get off your chest, do you have any questions? Hit me up in the comments. Chat lives matter. Let's get right into it. Oh, before we get started, actually, shout out to the Yankees. That was a good game tonight. In case people don't know, baseball playoffs have started, MLB, Red Sox, Yankees playing in the wild card. The Yankees had a solid game tonight and took care of business, sent it to a third game. So congratulations to them. And I can't wait for game 3. It's been a great series so far. All right, back onto the Patriots, though. Let's talk about Drake May. I'm not going to lie. When we drafted him, I was a little bit skeptical. I saw the pre-draft reports. I trust Bill Belichick's evaluation of a player, and he didn't have terrible things to say about Drake, but he said he definitely had some things to work on. So I was a little skeptical, honestly, coming in. My preference out of that draft was Jaden Daniels, but that wasn't an option for us. Honestly, I was hoping the Patriots would move down, trade out of that pick, but I'm not gonna lie, he's made a believer out of me. The growth he's shown this year is phenomenal, and I thought he played fantastic last year, considering that coach and staff was an absolute dumpster fire. We had no offensive line and basically no receivers to throw to. And Ramondre kept fumbling the ball, like 8 or 9 fumbles on the year. So, all things considered, last year, I thought what he showed when he took over as starting quarterback was amazing. And he's under Josh McDaniels' tutelage. I mean, he's just going to the next level. There's really nothing else to say about it. I mean, that was a masterclass last week. He had as many touchdowns passes as he had incompletions in the game. And I haven't seen that since Tom Brady. So arrow pointing up for Drake May for sure. Nice bounce back game for Ramondre. That was really good to see. And Stephon Diggs. If you guys follow me on X at T-Town Sports Talk, you'll know that I've been on Diggs since he was way ahead of schedule in the preseason. I thought, like, this guy's been working his butt off. Like, I was initially, when we signed him, I was like, great. We're not going to see him until, like, week 8. And it's going to be totally useless. But then I saw him working out in OTAs, heard that he's, like, way ahead of schedule. And then I got to see him on the field preseason. And I was like, wow. I was like, you would never think this dude just had ACL surgery less than a year ago. His recovery is nothing short of remarkable. And you can tell week by week, right? He's kicking off the rust, right? He's getting more comfortable on that surgically repaired knee. And he's starting to he's starting to really tune things up. So I only expect this to get better. Um, Now, I mean, if he produces like a wide receiver one this year, that's unheard of because I saw some reports in the offseason. They're like, honestly, like nobody's ever done it coming off an ACL surgery to put up wide receiver one numbers in the first year. It's just unheard of. So, I mean, if he can produce at that level, I mean, he's going to do something nobody's ever done. It was, that aside, he had an outstanding week last week, and I'm excited, honestly, to see what he's going to do against Buffalo. This is going to be a homecoming game of sorts for him. Going back to Buffalo, um, the team that unceremoniously got rid of him. So I'm sure he's going to have some strong feelings, but he's said all the right things and done all the right things so far this season. So I don't expect him to be too high or too ramped up for this game. I think he's going to approach it the way he's approached every game this season so far. So, that's great. Like everything I've seen and heard from him is totally 180 to what we've heard in the media about what kind of teammate and what kind of player he is in the past from Minnesota and Buffalo. Drake May's nearly perfect passer rating last week. He had 155 or something. Unreal. I mean, that was just a masterclass. Now, I mean, it was Carolina. So, like pour a little cold water on before we get too carried away here. It's they're barely an NFL team. But still, right? Like good teams take care of the teams that you're supposed to take care of. So congratulations. The Patriots looked good on both sides of the ball, and they dealt with Carolina. Again, super strong performances out of the defensive line, offensive line. Ben Brown stepped in to fill in for Wilson at left guard. He did an excellent job. Excellent job. As like the line to me is the biggest improvement from year to year. Like that really unlocks things. When you can block up front or get penetration on defense with the line without having to blitz extra people, I mean that creates all sorts of problems. And what can you say about Will Campbell? I mean, his PFF grades through 4 weeks put him solidly in very elite company at left tackle, not just rookies, all left tackles. His numbers are amazing. Amazing. Outside of a couple gaffes in the first game against the Raiders, he's been pretty much flawless. I think it's like 2 games now. He hasn't allowed a sack or a pressure. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. It's kind of makes you think, like feel a little bit like in that Raiders game we let go of the rope. Like we probably should have won that game, but we just didn't have it together enough yet to be able to make that happen. They've shown that kind of resiliency. I thought, Pittsburgh's a well-coached team, and they present problems for you on defense just because of how they mask their coverages and move people around. That they've always been a good team for a reason. They're well coached. So It's not surprising to me that we lost the game, but disheartened a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. Because honestly, when I look at those two teams side by side, can't help but think the Patriots are better. And if we played them, you know, 10 times, that we wouldn't win. We would probably win the majority of the games. But that's not how the NFL works. It's 1 week at a time. And, you know, it's next game mentality, right? That's how you have to do it. Short memory. Move on to the next week. Right. So they reset. They came back. They got prepared for Carolina. They took care of business. And now they're on to Buffalo. And I'm super excited for this back in prime time. I remember when the schedule came out, we had 0 games in prime time. So nice to see us get into a primetime game. So that tells me that we have started to get noticed. So as far as Buffalo is concerned, there's reports that Josh Allen and Drake May worked out a little bit this summer, um, and that Drake really looks up to him. So it's you can definitely see some of the similarities in their game, but it's uh, Josh Allen is kind of a freak of nature physically, so they don't have the same body type, right? Like, I mean, Josh Allen's basically a linebacker playing quarterback. Drake is a little more slight of build. They both have strong arms. They both can run. Um, Drake's going to run around you. Josh will go through you. That's the difference. So as far as this game goes, what are the keys to victory for the Patriots this week? Um, Game 2, Christian Gonzalez. I'm excited for this. Like, I've been waiting to finally get everybody healthy and on the field together, and it seems like it's coming. We're finding out Jelani Tavai. They opened the practice window on him, so he has 21 days now to be activated off the IR. So that's exciting. I don't think we'll see Tavai this week, but probably more like next week, I'd imagine, for him. So help is coming. Um, help is coming. The linebackers played considerably better this past week, and while we're doing that, we can bring up the PFF grades from this past week on offense. But on Wenu and Diggs in the elite category. It's been a while since we've seen people in the elite category consistently. Drake May, Will Campbell, Hunter Henry, Garrett Bradbury. Bradbury's been remarkably solid this year. I have nothing bad to say about him. His game's been very buttoned up. So I think you're starting to see the fruits of Doug Marone's labor paying off. These guys are starting to gel, and as a unit, they look pretty solid. So, kudos to Doug Marone. Kudos to these offensive linemen. They seem like they're really starting to come together. Ben Brown, very capable game backing up. Matt Collins, another solid game from him. Morgan Moses, Travion Henderson, Hooper Lowe, but Darian Lowe even got in the game. Keyshawn Booty and Antonio Gibson. Now, the below average guys on the offensive side of the ball: Bryant, Stevenson, Douglas, Williams, Westover, and Dobbs. So, some of those are kind of the end of the bench kind of guys. Backups getting in, they didn't really do much when they got in. Nobody on offense in the poor category. That's moving in the right direction, in my opinion. On the defensive side of the ball, we got Barmore and Pettis in the elite category. Spillane, Gibbons, Durden, and Mapu in the above average. Chasen, Alex Austin, and Jalen Hawkins in the average. Craig Woodson, Christian Ellis, Kyrie Tonga, Christian Gonzalez, Milton Williams, Kyle Duggar, Marcus Jones, Harold Landry, all in the below average. And then Woods, Davis, White, Farmer, and Jennings in the poor category. Now, that's not a shocker. Like Keon White hasn't really been on the field very much. And when he is, he's not playing particularly well. Farmer's a rookie. Davis was banged up. And then Jennings and Woods, it's okay. Next week they can do better. The shockers for me were, seeing Christian Ellis struggle like he has in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Like he's really had a tough time. He's getting exposed in his run defense. His coverage has been a little lax, which I thought he was going to be an adequate run blocker. And I thought he was going to be the guy that they tagged to cover tight ends from the linebacking position, but clearly not. So now it's starting to make a little more sense why they brought Mapu down from the back end to the linebacker room. Like they need somebody like him to be able to run with the tight ends. So it's if you really think about it, it's a brilliant move on Vrabel's part. Like we were getting a little heavy in the back end with a lot of redundant skill sets, and Mapu is he's a bigger guy, so he can operate in the box. So it looks like it's working out pretty well so far. I've been saying this all along. I'm excited to see what Gibbons can do. I think the more he gets on the field, I think the more he's just going to show. So I applaud them for getting him in the game more. And Spillane, after a rough couple of weeks, has really rebounded. He's been playing excellent. And that honestly is what he's doing now is exactly what I expected him to be doing. Now Barmore's been a force all year. I believe he's one of the top-rated defensive tackles in the league through 4 games. I was a little surprised that Tonga and Milton Williams had tough games. Kind of expected from Christian Gonzalez first time back, but Tonga's been like a revelation. He's played a lot of rundowns and he's done an amazing job for the most part this year. So it was kind of interesting to see him struggle a little bit in this game. Milton Williams, the grade wasn't there, but I didn't think he had a bad game. He just didn't make the kind of impact that he's been making in the first few weeks. So I have to go back and look at the film and see exactly what it was, but he was missed some tackles or whatever, but I'm not really concerned. We beat this team pretty soundly. So you don't ever want to take plays off, but I can understand if some of them started to check out when, we were up like 3 or 4 touchdowns. So that's it. That was a pretty good beating we put on them last week. take a look at this real quick. 42-13. I haven't seen 42 points in a Patriots game in a while. Yeah, Drake May, 14-17, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, 200 yards passing, 38 yards rushing from Ramondre Stevenson. So Steph Diggs at 100 yards receiving. I believe he comes the first receiver to have 100 yards in a game in a while, too. Jason had the only sack, or one of the only sacks. Gibbons, 12 tackles. What a beast. 8 solo, 1 tackle for a loss. Spillane at 10 and 4 solo. Those two, man. What a game for both of them. Hunter Henry had a touchdown, 2 targets, 2 catches, 39 yards. Just doing work. And then Matt Collins gets his, that's honestly, it's part of the reason we brought him here. That's what he does. He's a big guy. He's good on downfield threats. He's good on high pointing balls. He's good at blocking you out. He's good at running those goal line plays. He's a big target with great hands. And he's scored now 2 or 3 touchdowns, I think, on the year. And they're all kind of the same play. So good job, good play design, good job on the coaching staff to scheme them into those easy touchdowns. Running backs all averaged over 4 yards carry, so no complaints there. I mean, Henderson and Gibson scored the touchdowns rushing. It was a solid work. They split the carries between the 3 of them, 9 for Stevenson, 7 for Henderson, and 6 for Gibson. And, 2 of them scored. And 2 of them broke off runs over 20 yards. So, great job. The Patriots did a great job against Bryce Young, made him look very he got benched eventually in the game because he couldn't get anything going. He was 18-30 for 150 yards. His numbers weren't terrible. He had an 84 quarterback rating, but if you watch the game, he was not going anywhere. Every series was 3 and out, 1 or maybe a first down. I don't know how many first downs they got in the game. It didn't feel like many. Chuba Hubbard had 10 carries for 49 yards, and that was about the only bright spot for them. Tedero McMillian, 62 yards on 4 catches. He looked pretty good. That kid Bryson Tremaine, he actually contributed a bit. I was a little impressed with him. Oh. So, it's beating a dead horse. I don't know how much more I could talk about this game there. We beat them up pretty good, so let's get on to Buffalo. So Buffalo Bills are home favorites. Looks like it's at -7.5 right now. Over under is rolling at 48.5. Ironically, the numbers for these two teams are not too different. aside from the fact that Buffalo's 4-0. Drake May and Allen have had pretty comparable seasons so far. May's thrown for a little more yards. They both have 7 touchdowns. May's got 2 interceptions. Allen's got 1. And I'm guessing that May has a couple rushing touchdowns, but I'm sure Allen does too. Obviously, our rushing game has been pretty terrible overall this season, so not a surprise that James Cook has the edge in the rushing category. Steph Diggs, hot off his 100-yard game, is the leading receiver between the two teams on 19 catches. Keon Coleman is the leading receiver on the Bills side, 17 catches, 1 touchdown, 10 fewer yards. Landry's our sack leader, 3.5. And theirs is Daquan Jones at 2. Robert Spillane leads the Patriots with 31 tackles, where Bernard has 20. Terrell Bernard. Oh, he's a Baylor guy. Okay. So that's essentially till the tape. We can go through the injury report in a minute. Matchup predictor on ESPN has almost 68% people responding and think that the Bills are going to win this game. It's probably not a terrible pick, but the Patriots and the Bills always split games. It's just a matter of which one's going to get the win where. So, it's to me, it's kind of a toss-up. It's prime time. Josh Allen usually gets up for these games big time. So that might be working against us. But I don't think their defense is anything special. I mean, they're another well-coached team, so they're going to, for the most part, play mistake-free football, and they can defend, but I don't feel like they've got like as strong a defense. I'll just say that, as strong a defense as they had last prior couple of years. But we'll see. I mean, I think the last time I actually watched the Bills play was out week 1 against the Ravens. That was a great game. It came right down to the end. Looking at the Bills, they've kind of had a similar path this season. They played, one really legit team in Baltimore, and they pulled that one off. We played Pittsburgh, and we lost. But their other games are, New Orleans, Miami, and the Jets. It's, that's a really bad team and a couple less than stellar teams, we'll call them. And Miami finally looked like they were starting to turn the corner a little bit on the season, and then they lose Tyreek Hill. So I don't know what that's going to do to them. We'll save the keys to the game for a little bit later. We'll go over the we'll go over what I think the game plan is going to be, what the keys to victory are, um, key injuries to monitor, and so forth at the end of the show. Next, I think we'll get into going through week 5 in the NFL. Um, week 5 also signals the beginning of bye weeks, so a couple fewer games to watch this week. But we're going to start tomorrow night at 7:15. I believe that's Central. Um, San Francisco 49ers and LA Rams. We already know for certain that the 49ers will be without Purdy. They'll be with um, without Juwan Jennings. They'll be without Ricky Pearsall, I believe. So I mean, they're a little short on the offensive side of the ball. Whereas the Rams, I think, are pretty much healthy. I know, everybody's kind of nicked up, and there are probably a bunch of people questionable on their injury report, but I'm pretty sure everybody's going to play for the Rams. Um, let's see what we got going on here. We got the line is the Rams by 8.5, over unders at 45. That that's a little higher than I thought. I'm going to be honest. 8.5 points. Um, 8.5 points feels a little much to me. So, I'm really tempted to go against the Rams in this one, but knowing that it's no Purdy in this game, that gives me hesitation. They still do have McCaffrey. Mac Jones hasn't looked terrible, but no Pearsall, no Juwan Jennings. That's tough. It's a tough order. All right, I'm going to talk myself into it. I'm going to take the Rams laying the points. 8.5. 2 scores. They're going to win by 2 scores. Over under 45. These are always tough. I feel like the over unders for some weird reason are usually pretty spot on. But if I had to lean one way, I'd probably go under, just because the 49ers, I don't know if they could score enough points to make that 45 cover. Onto the main slate on Sunday. Let's see. We got Minnesota, Cleveland at 8:30 a.m. Another European game. Oh, it's going to be a Tottenham Hotspur. Okay. London, England. We've got Minnesota on the road favored by 3.5 with an over-under 36.5. Now, Joe Flacco has been benched in Cleveland, and they have turned the team over to Dylan Gabriel. So Carson Wentz versus Dylan Gabriel. That's what you're getting in London at 8:30 in the morning. It almost feels like it's not worth getting up to watch, right? Um, the only reason I'm going to put eyes on it is because I want to see if Dylan Gabriel has an ounce of a chance to be a starter in the NFL. I have been very skeptical of him since the draft. I don't think he's better than Shador. I don't think he was deserving of being drafted in this past draft. Basically, him and Tyler Shook are the two guys that I think didn't belong in this draft. So, shocking to me that I feel like Shador had the better preseason and Shador had the fewer reps and still outplayed him. But, whatever. I don't know if they're trying to teach Shador a lesson or humble him or whatever they're trying to do, but I think the path to Shador being on the field is, we've already seen it from Flacco. I expected Flacco to, go supernova, start fast and hot, and then burn out by like now for week 4 or 5. I think I said that I thought Shador would be the starter by week 8 before the season. So we still got a few weeks away from that. Obviously, in order for that to happen, that would mean Dylan Gabriel would have to be really bad. And unfortunately for him, this is a bad spot to make your first start. You're on the road, you're in London, and you're playing Minnesota, who loves to destroy young quarterbacks. So it's not a recipe for success for Dylan Gabriel, but it's his opportunity. So we'll see what he does with it. As far as this game goes, it's going to be low scoring. I think that under is probably on, even though that's really low. 36.5 is really low, but that tells you what the Sharps think about these two teams, and Cleveland especially. Cleveland's got a good defense, and they've got Quinshon Judkins, so they should be able to control clock, which should limit the scoring. Minnesota's got weapons all over the place, so they can score quick. But I'm going to say Minnesota covers 3.5, and the over-under isn't gonna cover. It'll be under. I kind of see this being like a 12-7 game, something crazy. All right. On the Turfs team, the Raiders. Raiders at Indy at 12 p.m. This is the first group of games. Spread is Indy by 6.5. Over under is 47.5, and it's in Indy. So indoor game, pretty good defense. Indy's got a very good offense. This feels like it should be Indy. The Raiders just seem kind of like they still haven't quite figured it all out yet. They had a better game running the ball last week, but they still lost. So, they're probably going to try and do the same thing this week, but that Indy line is pretty stiff. Mason Graham looks awesome. And they, when they're on their home field, it's tough. It's tough sledding. And I'm not a huge fan of the interior of the Raiders line. So I think they're going to have a tough day. So I'm going to take Indy laying 6.5 points. But I do think the 47.5 over under is going to go over in this game. Next game up, New York Giants at New Orleans Saints. I don't really know how the Saints score points. I don't really understand it. Rattler looks like he's going to explode at some points, and then other points he looks like, like he's about to get run over. He's deer in headlights. So I don't get it, but their defense is good enough to keep them in games, and they hang around. And except last week, I think they got killed last week. But the Giants confirmed lost neighbors for the year, so that's not good. Dart is still there, but I don't know who he's throwing to now. Honestly, I'm kind of shocked to see New Orleans is favored in this game by 1.5, but I was kind of leaning that way too. But I think just out of respect for the Giants, I'll give it to them just because I don't think New Orleans is playing to win this year. So I'm gonna take New York to win this game outright. 41.5 is the over under. I don't see that one covering. I don't think either one of these teams can score 20 points. On to them Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys at the New York Jets. Dallas showed me something last week. Without CeeDee Lamb, they got it done. They came up short, but they looked solid. I mean, they came out of that with a tie. I know that's not a victory, but it's a moral victory of sorts for them, right? Like, traded their best defensive player, CeeDee Lamb, their best offensive player, is injured. They were missing another guard. I honestly thought that they were just going to get run over by Green Bay, and they showed some heart and played some fire, whereas the Jets didn't. I mean, they kind of put some points up on the board at the end of the game after Tyreek went down, and I think Miami knew they had the game in hand. So I'm not really going to give them a ton of credit for that, but Dallas has to go to New York and beat them, or New Jersey. So I'm going to take Dallas to cover that -2.5. Over is going to cover 47.5. I'll take that. Yeah, no big deal. Next, Denver at Philly. This could be a good game. It's going to be a really good game. Philadelphia is having a little bit of a problem with A.J. Brown. They can't seem to get him involved. I'm not sure what's going on with him, but I keep seeing posts in New England about us acquiring him. So, I mean, I don't think there's any official trade rumors out there. So that's just a bunch of people like trying to read tea leaves. And I mean, they're the defending Super Bowl champions. I don't think they're trading their best wide receiver for no reason. So Philly and Denver, 3.5 point spread. Philly given 3.5. Over-unders at 43.5. Philly at home is a tough one. They're a tough one. Denver's defense should be able to put up some resistance. They've got one of the best defenses in the league. So I do fully expect that Philly's going to have a tough time moving the ball. And Philly also has a good defense, so I expect Denver's going to have a tough time. So I'm leaning towards thinking that this game's probably going to be right around 43. I'm going to say that. But if I have to lean one way or another, I'm going to lean maybe under. Just a smidge. Like, wouldn't be surprised for like a 2017 game or something like that. Like 24, 24, 21, 24, 20, something along those lines. Right? If they cover that number, I'd be surprised. But it can happen. Philly gets cruising, they generate turnovers. Denver can actually run the ball. We'll see. Miami at Carolina, first game without Tyreek Hill for Miami. Now, they're only a 1.5 favorite. Oh, man. I don't really think it matters. They're going to kill this team. Carolina's not equipped. I'm actually kind of shocked that they beat Atlanta. I don't know how that happened. I thought Atlanta was getting better. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe they were injured. I don't know. Maybe they had some sort of brain lapse. I don't know. Miami covers 1.5 point spreads. It's nothing. I'm on it. Miami, straight up. Over under 44.5. Geez. I might go over just because I could see this being a situation where Miami scores a bunch of points, Carolina scores some late points, and it ends up being like, I don't know, 35 to 17 or something. Just because Miami was like, whatever, we're killing them. Pull out backups in the fourth quarter. So I don't think Miami's even going to need Tyreek, obviously. It's Jalen Waddle is enough to take them down. Next up, Houston at Baltimore. Now, this one's going to really depend on whether or not Lamar plays in this game. I don't think I've seen anything definitive on that yet. He's being listed as questionable, but I wouldn't be shocked if he took this game off. Houston's defenses look pretty good of late, whereas Baltimore's defense is not. As far as scoring goes in this game, if Lamar is not in the game, then I would downgrade their scoring greatly because I don't think they'll be able to score more than 2 touchdowns without him. Houston, CJ Stroud can't do much of anything. He looked okay last game against a terrible team, but maybe that's what you need to get it going. You need a get-right game. So, I mean, a part of me wants to go Houston, but I can't see Baltimore losing another game. They're going to be out to win this game at all costs and at home. Baltimore straight up to win this game. And the over-under's at 40.5. I'm going to say they cover that. Obviously, that is me thinking that Lamar plays this week, which I think is a distinct possibility, no matter what's wrong with him. Next up, Tennessee at Arizona. I mean, we don't have to even review the game. Arizona wins. Arizona covers, and the over/under is going to be under. Tennessee can't score, um, so Arizona will easily win by 2 touchdowns or 2 scores rather. I'm not really concerned. Tennessee's terrible in every facet of the game. They're terrible. Next up on the slate, Tampa Bay at Seattle. Let's see here. Seattle's favored by 3.5, and the over/under set at 44.5 right now. Now Tampa Bay has no Mike Evans. Um, well, I think that matter. Probably not, but they also lost Bucky Irving this past weekend too, so they'll be without Bucky Irving. Um, Jeez. Seattle likes to set the run, and play off it, the throw. Tampa's great at stopping the run, not so much in the pass. I'm going to take Seattle. 3.5 point spread. I think they cover. Um, yeah, Tampa's got to go all the way across country to Seattle for this game too. Yeah, we'll go Seattle to cover. And we'll go over 44.5. I think that's probably going to hit. Next up, Detroit at Cincinnati. Cincinnati looks like a dumpster fire. One of these days, though, you mark my words, like Browning's going to go out there and have like a 4 touchdown game, 350 yards or something. He's going to go off. I don't think it's this week, though. Detroit's too good. Detroit will cover 10.5. I know it's probably the biggest spread of the week, but they'll get it. And then we got 2 games left on the slate. We got Washington at LA, Chargers. Chargers by 2.5. And then the Patriots at the Bills, where Buffalo is favored by 7.5. The Washington game, I don't think we're going to see Daniels. Or maybe we will. I think I heard that he might have resumed practicing, so he might be back this week. Najee Harris is out for the Chargers, but Omari and Hampton took full advantage of that last week and went crazy. Because of that, I think I'm going to go Chargers. Their defense is looking nasty so far this year. Chargers by 2.5, and I'm going to say that goes over to 48.5 for point total is I think that easily gets covered in this game. Final game, Sunday Night Football, New England at Buffalo. We've already talked a bit about this game. Buffalo's favored by 7.5. Games between us usually go pretty close. We're division rivals. Even when we're bad, we never seem to roll over when we play the Bills. So I expect this game to be close. So I would pick the Patriots to stay within 7.5, and over under 48.5. That's going to go over. I'll book that now. Next game, final game of the week, Monday Night Football. Kansas City at Jacksonville Jaguars. Don't understand why Jacksonville has a football team. Somebody will have to explain that to me someday. This game, Kansas City is a road favorite. 3.5 points. Over under set at 46.5. As good as Kansas City's defense was last year, they've looked a little shaky so far this year. I do think that they'll go over. Kansas City is, let's see, week 5. So we are nearing the return of Rashee Rice. I believe his suspension is done after 6 weeks. So he's just a couple weeks away from coming back, and feels like they're kind of energized. The team played so much better last week. Tyquan Thornton looks like he belongs. Kelsey played much better, I thought, last week. Even Juju Smith and Hollywood Brown had contributions. So that Kansas City seems like they're going in the right direction, whereas Jacksonville feels like they're kind of slipping in the wrong direction. For that reason, I'm going to take Kansas City to cover, even though it's at Jacksonville. And that over-under, I think, is going to happen. I see 35 to 24, something like that. So it's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. And then obviously our bye teams: Atlanta, Chicago, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh. So that's it. That's the lines for this past week. I think finally, we'll get into the injury report and the key matchups for Patriots and Buffalo, and we'll wrap it up. But please like, subscribe. Feel free to leave comments if you guys have anything that you want to talk about. Put it in the comments. I'll try and get to it. All right, let's start with the injury report. Patriots and Bills injury report. This is as of today. So this is the Wednesday practice reports. This is not official for the game this weekend. So anybody on here that is questionable, please make sure you continue to monitor, especially if they're on your fantasy team. So we had Chasen was out with a knee thing, DNP. Jalen Hawkins, hamstring, DNP. Jared Wilson still out. Oh, no. They got him back in, limited participation. Very good. That's good to hear. And Milton Williams limited up with an ankle. And Barmore is just, they're just managing him because of the blood clot issue. So this is going to be a pretty normal thing for him. He probably won't practice much on Wednesdays. On the Bills side, Dorian Williams is a DNP. Jackson Hawes, Spencer Brown, Ed Oliver, and Matt Milano, all limited participants. So that's good for them. They're looking healthier than we are. And that will make the game even that much tougher next weekend. Or this coming weekend, rather. As far as the keys to the game are concerned, I think the biggest thing for the Patriots to do is to try and come out fast, establish the run, get those safeties and linebackers pulled up towards the line of scrimmage so you can throw on play action. Find a way just find a way to get Demario Douglas involved in this game. I don't understand why he's been kind of like an afterthought this season. I thought he was going to have a massive year. But so far, I mean, you can't even find him in the box score. One catch for 6 yards or something crazy. Let's get him involved though. Let's get start to work Kyle Williams in there a little bit more. Start ramping up his usage a little bit. Start ramping up Steph Diggs' usage. I mean, his numbers were fantastic for the snaps he took last week. Let's keep that going. I think the big thing for us is going to be to limit turnovers, take care of the ball, right? We can play a clean game. We can keep this game close. Borregales hasn't had a lot of shots, but I have a feeling he's probably going to be kicking some field goals this weekend. The Bills are good at stalling out drives of their opponents and making them kick field goals, do things that they don't want to do. So I think we'll be having a little field goal fest. I'm interested to see if Drake May can take his production and keep it going against a defense like the Bills. They can cause a lot of trouble for you if you are not careful. And I want to see how we handle it. I mean, this is kind of like our. I mean, no disrespect to Pittsburgh, but this is kind of like our first test. This is how we're going to measure ourselves. We'll see where we're at and see, if the juice is worth the squeeze. That's pretty much it for the injury report. We've covered everybody on that side. I think the big thing for the Patriots are turnovers, right? So number one key to the game, win the turnover battle, win it. No stupid penalties. That's the other thing that kills us is, offsides, holding, stupid mental lapses, especially in the losses. Those, I feel like, two or three plays in the game change the outcome in both those games. And it doesn't take much, right? So, I mean, Bill Parcells famously said, "You are what your record says you are." We're a 500 team, so that's a 500 team is an improvement over what we were last year. And I don't know what that's gonna, it's gonna mean to us in this upcoming game. But I think, get the running game going, involve the tight ends, use that to get more leverage on the back end of the defense so they can't double team Diggs and try and attack them in the middle of the field. I have not paid attention to how they are lining up on defense, if they're spending more time in man or cover two or what, but I'll have to pay attention to that for this game. But I do expect there'll be opportunities to attack them. They're just a really well coached team again. So you're gonna have to pick your spots, win your battles when you when you have the opportunity to win that battle. And then, who's the X factor in this game? Special teams always, right? I mean, 2 of the 4 we had special teams touchdown. So, it's amazing. Let's keep going with that. I want to see what we can do if we can actually become the kind of team that people don't want to kick you. Because every time somebody touches the ball on kick return or punt return, they take it to the house, or they have the chance to take it to the house. And let me think. Oh, the other major thing for this game is going to be the line, right? Our offensive line versus their defensive line. That's going to be huge for us. If we can be competitive there, that should unlock a lot of other stuff for us. That's going to pretty much do it for me. If you like what you hear, come check us out tomorrow. Tomorrow's my show with my co-host Turf. The name of that show is Dead in the Water. And you can find it on my channel, on Turf's channel, The Ultimate Raider Fan 32. Come watch, engage. The comments are much more lively tomorrow night. Turf's been doing this a lot longer than me, so he's built up a pretty good fan base. And he's got a lot of people that chime in on his shows. Until then, catch you next week on First and Goal. Let's go.